Hello fellow Netrunners. Today I'll be doing another in my series of hidden objectives. If you haven't seen my very first one, which is the one involving the Chatterjee University, that challenge, be sure to check it out. Click on the link on the video right now. So that Chatterjee University challenge was a success. I've hired a local, not so friendly film critic to give a rating on how difficult or challenging that hidden objective challenge was, and the results is that I get a rating of 4. 4 is okay, it's kind of average. It wasn't that difficult coming up with the deck itself, but the true difficulty lay in finding an opponent that took so long to set up the 7 points win that I was able to assemble my entire 920 program rig. Now, your starter for 10. What is my next hidden objective? Turns out I didn't need to come up with one for myself. One of my awesome viewers, Moto Kuchoma, came up with a very intriguing suggestion. If you wanna do something like that again, I challenge you to try and trash every piece of ice the Corp deck runs. Well, that is theoretically possible, but I don't want to do that because it probably is very hard to enforce. You need to ask the opponent at the end of the game whether they have any ice left in the deck or HQ, and it's very difficult to build around that, especially considering that it's very matchup dependent. If you meet against someone with 17 pieces of ice in the deck and their bottom card of R&D is an ice, you're gonna have a very hard time getting rid of it. So I'm going to do the easier option. You have to end the game with no ice on the Corp side, and I'm going to try to make sure that I win that game. No losing allowed. So I've asked the local film critic, and their rating for that was a 3, lower than that of the Chatterjee University challenge. Ending the game with no ice on the Corp side is not that difficult with the release of Apocalypse, because that wipes the entire board. And as such, you bet that my deck is going to be based around that card, Apocalypse. In the end, this challenge took me 2 tries, just like the Chatterjee University challenge, and I'll be showing you my winning try here. So I'm up against Corset Wayland once again. It really does seem like Corset Wayland is the most friendly opponent for completing these hidden objectives. As per usual, my opponent is very unsuspecting. He expects a standard Kate deck, not knowing that I'm actually accomplishing a hidden objective. Well, to be fair, the way I'm setting up, it looks like I am actually trying to win the game, and the hidden objective requires me to win, so it's not like the Chatterjee University challenge where your objective is not to win but to do something else. This is one of the reasons that contributes to the slightly easier nature of this challenge. Now my opponent just sets up a bunch of ice while I try to collect money and cards. Most of the early game is not interesting at all, it's basically me setting up my entire combo. What is my combo, you might ask? Well, to accomplish this, to make sure that I win the game when the opponent has no ice on the board, I need to make sure I win the game right after an Apocalypse, which means that I need lots of clicks after the Apocalypse to gather enough agenda points to win, so that the opponent has no time to spend their clicks to install ice. If they can't install ice, I win with no ice on the board. Hence, I'm going to set up for triple hyperdriver, which necessitates the use of a leprechaun to store all that memory. Then, I'm going to slowly drop my combo, and as you can probably tell, I am going for the Corporate Scandal into Blackmail to activate the Apocalypse. The only real worry is Chrysium Grid. If he runs an upgrade on R&D or HQ, I might be in a bit of trouble, because that necessitates a double run to get rid of the Chrysium, and that means a lot more money required as well. Public Sympathy is quite important, and is the best plus hand size card, barring Beach Party, which I don't really want to use. Losing 1 click every turn is kind of a huge deal. So Public Sympathies allow me to hold lots of cards in hand, which is very important. I need to hold the Apocalypse, the Blackmails, the Corporate Scandals. The Keyhole ensures that I can get lots of agenda points post-Apocalypse, and then the Notorieties finish the game off in case I don't find enough agenda points from the Keyholes. Now my opponent has scored a hostile takeover pretty early, which is fantabulous. This means that I can ditch the Corporate Scandals without worry, because my Blackmails have already been activated courtesy of my opponent Corp. Thanks very much for the bad pump, I really appreciate it. Not often do you get to say that as Shaper, but yes. I've drawn into all 3 Apocalypses, but right now I'm looking for my Blackmail. I only have 1 Blackmail, which is really bad. My opponent is on 4 agenda points and can conceivably win in the next 2 turns, so I need to get the Apocalypse going as soon as I can. There's another threat that I'm really worried about. It's called Snare, and Snare kind of ruins my day because it has the potential to snipe lots of cards. The first run through with my deck failed. I was up against Haspyroid and ETF scored out an ABT, beta test. Triggering the beta test, my opponent managed to find a Swordsman on Archives, and while I can easily get through Swordsman on Archives and then Apocalypse, the net damage hit my one and only keyhole, which meant that I couldn't keyhole post-Apocalypse. Now, it's time to go. With 13 clicks, let's see if I can make this happen. I need to win in this one turn, otherwise I'm pretty sure I'll get Sea Scorched. First is a normal run on HQ because I did not manage to find my second Blackmail. So I'll have to hit the ice. I can break it if it's a code gate or a barrier, but it's a sentry. I have no sentry breakers. All I have is Artman. So I'm going to bring out the Artman. Thankfully it's not an archer. Thankfully it's a very cheap Cobra. I could technically let the trash program subroutine fire, but I just paid the 1 credit anyway. It made very little difference because I was so rich already. It doesn't really make a difference. So now it's probably all clear for me to perform the Apocalypse. As long as server 2 isn't a hostile infrastructure, I'm good to go. And even if it is, I can still survive a hostile infrastructure. Although I really don't want to lose the keyhole. I saw Scorchter from HQ and that confirms he's on the flatline route. So if I don't win by the end of this turn, I'm going to lose because he's going to scorch me to death. Blackmail on R&D. I hope I don't hit the snare here. Let's see what we get. It's an Enigma, very good. Then we run Archives, and then we ask him for any final words before I clear his board with Apocalypse. I still have 9 clicks available to me, so as you can probably tell, this game is almost certainly all mine. Asking for reactions, just in case he wants to sack a Jackson right here, which would not be the worst thing to do, but nope. So here comes the Wombination combination. Keyhole and a disastrous wide open R&D with no Jackson Howards to save the day. This is going to be a lot of trouble for my opponent. A corporate sales team hits Archives, that's 2 agenda points. I need 7 to win. Project Atlas, that's 4. I only need 1 more agenda at this point because I have double notoriety in my hand that I can play. Private Security Force, that secures things. I'm going to run Archives and fetch, well, 8 agendas because agenda points because the single advanced card in that remote turned out to be agenda as well. So that's the hidden objective complete. So for those of you who are clamoring for the deck list, here it is. And as you saw from the video, this is actually incredibly janktastic. There are 7 different combo pieces that need to be lined up for this to completely work out. And if the corp does anything that's out of your expectations, such as hitting a random snare or shocks in Archives or a swordsman that's res by ABT, as I mentioned, things will go horribly off track. So what are the 7 combo pieces? Number 1, you must start off with a Leprechaun. There are 6 Leprechauns in the deck, including the SMC. You need to get at least 1 out because 1's the minimum you need to host 3 hyperdrivers in your rig. Ideally, you'd like to have 2 because having only 1 means that you have no memory remaining to install other programs. You could use other programs. SMC means that you can sell it to Pawn Shop for 3 credits, and installing any of these is quite important if they're stuck in your grip. Next, combo number 2, the hyperdrivers. This one is one of the few combo pieces which you require all 3 copies of. Most of the cards here, like Leprechaun and Apocalypse, you only need 1 or maybe 2 of them. Hyperdriver is a mandatory 3 of, and this is the main reason why I run 3 SMCs. You need to see all 3 before you can begin your combo. Third combo piece, the Corporate Scandals. 2 of them in my deck, I need to see 1 of them at least to turn on all the Blackmails. Combo piece number 4, the Blackmails. Well, clearly you need at least 2 copies, 1 to get through HQ, 1 to get through R&D. Usually Archives is not ice against Shapers, but if they ice up Archives, you have to be aware of that as well. And failing all of these, you need to have some breakers to fall back on. This is the smallest rig that I can think of that works fine for almost every single piece of ice in the game. It's not very cheap to bring out an Artman, or cheap to break barriers with, big barriers with Snowball, but this is the best we have really. I would definitely like to have used a Lady instead of a Snowball, but I can't afford the influence for it. Combo piece number... that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Combo piece number 5 is the Apocalypse. Now, 3 Apocalypse is probably too much. This deck aims to win within 1 Apocalypse. If you have to play the second one, you are going to be in a lot of trouble, because once you use up all 3 Hyperdrivers, any subsequent Apocalypses mean that you don't have any more time left to play Notoriety, which means that you won't be able to win the game. So in retrospect, I should only be running 2 Apocalypses, because I only need 1 of them. The extra 3 Influence could go to a second Keyhole, which is the 6th combo piece of this. 1 Keyhole is very risky, because if it's the last card of your deck, you have to draw your entire deck before you can start playing. The alternative is to play an SMC and tutor the Keyhole from there, which is possible as well, but takes a lot of money to pull off. And the final combo piece is the Notorieties. This game I had 2 Notorieties in my hand, so I only needed to find 5 agendas worth of points to win the game. 5 agenda points, sorry. With Notoriety, the more you have, the easier it is on your Keyhole runs. And those are the 7 combo pieces you need to line up perfectly in order to pull off the stunt. Clone Chip is always essential. You saw how I was able to tutor up the Artman with the Clone Chip. If I didn't have that Clone Chip, I would have to delay my win by 1 turn by using Hyperdriver. By spending the next turn to click to draw, hopefully finding more blackmails. Again, Public Sympathy is so important because you're holding so many combo pieces in hand. You usually end up having 2 of them. Note that they all flip face down after the Apocalypse, so I would not have been able to survive the C double scorched because my hand size was reset to 5. And the rest of the cards are just basic money cards and Shaper draw cards that increase the speed of you finding all your combo pieces. So that's the deck in a nutshell, and I hope you really enjoyed this episode of Hidden Objective. And once again, the whole point of this series is to highlight how Netrunner is enjoyable, even if you're not playing at a competitive level. If you find your own small little joys, nuggets, and random goals to achieve, Netrunner is an avenue of self-expression. The limits are boundless. Thanks for watching and happy Netrunning.